Imagine living where every day feels like vacation. That's exactly why snowbirds and retirees are flocking to Cape Coral. With affordability you can't beat, year-round sunshine and endless activities, and the boating lifestyle that makes every day feel like paradise. Add in no state income tax, and it's no wonder why Cape Coral keeps landing on national best places to live lists. But here's what you really need to know. While headlines keep screaming housing crash, the reality on the ground here is very different. Now, inventory is dropping, rates are dipping, prices are quietly stabilizing, and with fewer buyers in the market this time of year, the big question is, are we actually staring at a collapse, or are buyers about to walk into the best deals they've had in quite a long time? I remember back in 2020 when prices started climbing, so many people told me they'd wait for prices to come back down. Instead, they found themselves priced out, forced to settle for a smaller home, or missing out on the canal property altogether. Prices shot up through 2021 and 2022, and now here in 2025, they've pulled back about 20% from those peaks. So with rates starting to drop and inventory tightening, the real question is, do you wait again and risk missing the boat, or do you step in now before the next wave of buyers comes? Now, this is your October 2025 Cape Coral Market Update, and this one could make all the difference. Now, if you're planning to buy, sell, or relocate, what I'm about to share could literally save you thousands. I'm Berry Cessna, your Cape Coral Waterfront Expert, and many others have already reached out, worked with me, and are now living their dream right here on the water. Now, if you're ready to make your move with confidence, click the strategy link in the description to book your complimentary strategy call with me today. Now, let's dive in and see what's happening here in the Cape Coral real estate market.
Hey guys, welcome in. Thanks for joining me. This is your Cape Coral Market Update for October 2025. I'm Berry Cessna, your Cape Coral Waterfront Realtor, and we've got a lot of great information to break down today. One of the big things that we're seeing is interest rates and inventory trending down. We've been seeing that now for the last couple of months, so we're going to dive into what that means for you. Seems like for so many months there, we were seeing inventory go up and up and up, and interest rates kept going up, and we didn't know what was going on exactly, but now they're actually starting to come back down, both of those together. So we're going to dive into that and see what that means for you as a buyer or seller. First up, we need to look at the market indicators. This tells us what's going on in the market. You know that I like to abide by the numbers and the numbers only. I believe they tell us exactly what we need to know if it's time to purchase or sell. We don't need to pay attention to the craziness of the media because they can be all over the place. You can see one where they say the market's crashing, and then the very next day you see another one and they say Cape Coral is the best place in the world. You need to buy now. So the numbers are going to be what determines whether you buy or sell. So let's dive into the inventory. Inventory tells us how many homes are currently available. This is the supply. A lot of supply and low demand means a buyer's market. A lot of demand and not much supply means a seller's market. Next up is a median price point. 50% of the homes in the market sold above this amount, 50% sold below this amount. Days on the market. How many days are homes sitting on the market before going under contract? Now, this number is for the median. So in order for a home to go into the market, it's got to be something attractive to other buyers. And even though they may be good homes at good prices, it's still taking quite a while for homes to go under contract, so boosting up our median days on the market. And then next up is closed sales. This is a very important one. It shows us how much demand is in the market, how many people are actually coming here to Cape Coral and buying homes. Let's jump into the active inventory. So here we see September 2025, we have an active inventory of 2,465 homes. June 2025, just 3 months ago, 2,994 homes were for sale on the market. And then 1 year ago, 2,573 homes were available on the market. Now, this is single family homes in the city of Cape Coral. So as you can see, we're actually over 100 homes lower than we were last year at the same time. This is incredible. This is a shift in the market that you need to pay attention to. Why is this happening? There's a few different reasons. One, builders have slowed down, so we're not seeing as much new inventory enter the market. Another thing that we're seeing as well is that sellers are not selling unless they get the price that they want. So there's so many homes in Cape Coral with equity, they absolutely don't need to sell. They're not motivated to sell. So last spring, February, March, we saw a lot of homes hit the market, and that's where we got up to over 3,500 homes on the market just a few months ago, back in February and March. But many of those folks said, I'm just testing the market, I really don't need to sell, and I'm going to see what happens. Well, they realized that the market wasn't willing to pay what they wanted for the house, so they pulled those houses off the market. So they're sitting comfortable. They don't need to sell. They're going to wait for the market to turn. Now, what that means for the supply is a lower supply means that prices will start going up because the demand is not going away. We've been seeing pretty good demand. We're going to get to that in just a moment. But as the supply starts to drop, the demand will make the prices start to increase. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And let's look at the chart here. Active inventory. So back in February, we did get up to over 3,500 homes on the market. We're now below 2,500. So that's over 1,000 homes left the market. Some were sold, some were just taken off the market, and then some are still sitting on the market. Median price point. So currently, September 2025, we had a median price point of $365,000 here in the city of Cape Coral. June 2025, $370,925, and then September 2024, $379,900 year over year. We were down just about $15,000. So one of the things I like to ask people is, people say, I'm just waiting for the market to crash. I'm waiting for the market to go down, for it to go down. Over the last few years, we have seen some pretty heavy decreases from where our peaks was at in 2022. That was up around 460, but now we're sitting at 365, so almost $300,000 or almost $100,000 decrease. Now, the biggest thing to understand is most of that decrease happened from June 2022 to December 2022. And then from January 2023 until now, we have seen a little bit of up and down, but we haven't seen any huge decreases. So my recommendation is, if you're in a position to buy and you keep sitting up north in the freezing cold, the gray skies, shovel and walk, scrape and windshields, Florida is a much better place to be. And if it's over just a few $1,000s, I would highly think about buying your home here in Florida sooner than later and quit putting up with those gray skies and cold winters up there in the north. So if we look at the chart here, this is what I wanted to point out. We've been pretty level under $400,000 just about the whole year. Now, back in February, we did get up to right at $400,000 for the median price point. And then from there, we've maintained in the last 3 months, we've been right around $365,000. Is that going to keep going down, or is that going to maintain? I would imagine it's probably going to stay right around 365 for the next few months. Where it might start increasing is if interest rates continue to slide lower. And then once we get into February, March, really pay attention, because that's when a large group of buyers comes into the market, and that will boost prices for sure if interest rates continue to slide down, and especially if the inventory is not there. Now, our inventory is going to increase once we get into February, March, January. However, I'm just not convinced that it's going to increase like it did last year, where we got up to 3,500 homes for sale on the market in Cape Coral. Next up, we're going to look at days on the market. How many days are homes sitting on the market? This is a number I would certainly like to see come down. September 2025, we had 60 days on the market before going under contract. June 2025, 55 days. September 2024, 50 days. And the biggest reason this number keeps staying so high here in the city of Cape Coral is because people put the homes on the market. They don't need to sell, so they just sit on the market with prices that are higher than what the market's going to pay for. So when you've got a lot of houses like that, a lot of sellers are just putting the houses out there just to see what happens, that keeps this number quite a bit higher than it needs to be. If somebody truly needs to sell and they need to get out from under it right away, there's lots of buyers here that are buying those homes. They just have to be priced accordingly. You can sell a home within a few weeks if you need to, but it does have to be priced accordingly, and it has to be appealing to what buyers are looking for. But as you can see, we've been creeping up since April, and we're going to probably go up just a little bit more over the next couple of months until we get into season. Closed sales. Now, this is exciting. So September 2025, we had over 387 closed sales in the city of Cape Coral. Now, I'd like to pull my numbers pretty quickly, and I know that number is going to continue to rise. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get up to right around 400, definitely 395, somewhere in that range. We might get to 400 closed sales for the city of Cape Coral in September 2025 on single-family homes, which, if you go back 1 year at 388, or definitely year over year, we have more demand here now than we did last year at the same time, which is a great sign as well, because we did start the year off pretty slow. We had very low demand in the city of Cape Coral compared to years past, but we're finishing a lot stronger now where that demand's showing higher than it was year to date last year. Now, June 2025, we did have 476 homes for sale. And as you can see by the chart, our busy months are March, April, May. That's when the most homes close. But we got off to a really slow start in January, February. Now I expect this to hit 400. Next month, it'll probably be a little bit lower if the trends continue for what normally happens here in the city of Cape Coral until we get back into the first part of next year. Months of inventory. Now, this is the part where when people talk about markets crashing and falling apart, this is the number that we really have to look at, because this tells us a lot of information. This has how many months it would take to sell out all the homes on the market if there wasn't a new one that came to the market. So if no new homes came for sale, to the amount of buyers that we have, this is how long it would take for us to sell out. September 2025, 6.4 months. June 2025, 6.3 months. September 2024, 6.6 months. Now, if you go on down here to my chart, the yellow line, the highlight there, that's a neutral market. So that's not a seller's market or a buyer's market. That's a neutral market. 4 to 6 months. Anything below 4 months is considered a seller's market. Anything over 6 months is considered a buyer's market. As you can see, we have been, for the last several months, just barely in a buyer's market. Last month, we actually went into a neutral market under 6 months of inventory. So for somebody to say Cape Coral is crashing, that there's nobody there buying, it's ludicrous, because you have to always look at months of inventory. We're barely in a buyer's market. We're almost in a neutral market. And if our inventory continues to slide like it has been, we're going to enter into a neutral market real fast. And depending on what happens next year, the first part of next year, if interest rates go down as well, we might find ourselves into a seller's market real quick, and people that have been waiting might be missing out. So really focus on what's happening here. We're not crashing. We're not falling apart. We have plenty of buyers here in the Cape Coral area, and we're just barely in a buyer's market. If we do slip a little bit lower, then we may see more sellers into the market for next season. Next up, we're going to look at current trends. Now, this is a weekly snapshot, the last week of August and the last week of September. New listings, 117 new listings last week of August compared to 158 new listings last week of September. So we're actually starting to grow in new listings, which kind of surprised me. Even though the overall inventory is down compared to month over month, we've started to grow in new listings. Sold 146 for the last week of September, 127 for the last week of August. So we've actually sold more homes as well in the month of September, the last week of September, compared to the last week of August. And then we have price decreases, 235 compared to 250. And then the other number I want to point out is pending. 133 homes went pending the last week of August compared to 121 went pending the last week of September. Next up is other key numbers to be aware of. So sold price per square foot, $234 a square foot here in the city of Cape Coral. That's for single family homes here in the city. And that number has been the same for the last 3 months, 234. It was a little bit higher than that the months prior. I think it'll stay right around that. Eventually it's going to start ticking back up. But right now, 234 a square foot here in the city of Cape Coral is a pretty good opportunity. List price received, 97.3%. That means that sellers are giving 3% off the price, the list price. That's about the median of where we're at right now, meaning you could take that 3%, you could use that towards closing costs, you could use that towards buying down your rate to get a lower payment, things of that nature. Now, not everyone's giving it, and some are giving even more. You just have to find out the sellers that are willing to negotiate the price a little bit better. New listings, we had 593 new listings come to the market here in the month of September. That number actually increased month over month for new listings. However, the actual inventory month over month decreased. Months of inventory, 6.4 months of inventory. Currently we have 6.4 months of inventory, barely in a buyer's market, just over the neutral market area. So we're going to keep an eye on that. We've been flirting with that for the last several months. Now, eventually, we're going to get back into that neutral market. It's going to stay there for a while. It may go up or down, but it's going to give more leverage to the sellers once we stay into the neutral market for any length of time. So pay attention to that. Watch the numbers. Watch his monthly market update. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well so you can keep up to speed with these, and they'll come right into your screen when you're looking for market updates. Now, key numbers to be aware of: inflation. Now, I've been talking about these numbers for a long time, and they really do help us know what's going on in the market. Inflation peaked at 9.1% back in June 2022. We're now sitting at 2.9%. Now, we were at 2.7%. We have been increasing a little bit over the last couple of months. We want that number to go down. If that number goes down, likely interest rates will continue to go down. November 2023, we had 8.01% for the interest rate. That's where we peaked at interest rate wise. And they're now sitting at 6.36. Last week, we were a little bit lower than that, into the 6.2s. But now we're sitting at 6.36. We did see it jump just a bit. I don't think it's going to jump much further. I think we're going to stay in the low sixes. We're not going to jump up to 6.5%. Like I said, 6.5% is our target. If we can stay at under 6.5% for any length of time, we're really going to see the market start to loosen up quite a bit. Unemployment is at 4.3%. That number has actually increased over the last couple of months. We were sitting about 4.2 to 3.8 for the last couple of years. However, at 4.3%, we are starting to see that increase. As that number increases, the likelihood of interest rates coming down is much higher. Obviously, we don't want to see unemployment increase, but it may lead to lower interest rates, which would signal better for buyer opportunity. But then, of course, sellers would start to take advantage of that as well. Current inventory, 2,465 homes currently available here in the city of Cape Coral. Year-over-year decrease of 4.2%. That decreased 4.2%. That's huge. If you've been with me for the last couple of years, you've been seeing this number increase year over year, increase 10%, 20%, 30% increase. Well, the last 2 months, year over year, has actually decreased, and 4.2% is really something to pay attention to. That means that the sellers are not willing to just give away houses. They know what they want to sell for. It means that the buyers or the builders have quit building as many houses. We're not seeing those come to the market. But if this continues to decrease, that's a really big indicator that the market is shifting. So pay attention to that. Demand. We have a lot of demand for Cape Coral. We have people moving here all the time. Population is currently estimated at 240,000 people. The next 5 years, we're going to be at 260,000. By 2050, 320,000 people are going to be living here. Often ranked as one of the fastest growing cities here in the city of Cape Coral, or in the country. And D.R. Horton just recently bought a huge piece of land in Northwest Cape Coral for $100 million. They're going to build 3,500 houses up there. They know what's coming. They know Cape Coral is going to continue to grow, and with that, demand is going to increase prices as well. So if you're looking out your window and the skies are gray and you're thinking about the snow coming soon, now might be a good time to jump. Is now the time to buy? Well, let's talk about this. Is now the time to buy? Yes, absolutely. I believe it is. And here's why. If you were in a position to purchase a home, now might be a great time. And let me tell you a story. So like I started about the beginning of this video, I talked about how back in 2020, I had a lot of people chat with me, and prices were starting to jump quite a bit, pretty fast. And they weren't comfortable paying those higher prices. And they said, Barry, I'm going to wait until prices come back down. This is crazy. Well, if you know, from 2020 into 2022, prices really jumped a lot, and it priced those people completely out of the market, where they couldn't even afford a house, or if they could afford the house that they wanted, I mean, if they could afford a house, it was going to be a small house. It was definitely not going to be on a Gulf Access Canal like they could have afforded prior. And they missed out on the opportunity. So they didn't have any options, and their option was to keep renting, or their option was to move to a different city where they could actually afford it. Income was not increasing as fast as prices were increasing. So the reason I tell you that story is we've fallen about $100,000 from where we were at the peak of 2022. And our prices are down low, and they're starting to stabilize. Our biggest drop was from June of 2022 till December of 2022. Since then, since January of 2023 till now, we haven't seen a huge decrease in prices. Just a little bit here and there. We did level off a little bit more this year. We're down a couple percentage points. But my point is this: if you are in a position to purchase a home and you can actually afford a home, afford the home that you want to purchase, now might be a great day to capitalize on that and take advantage of that. Get into the house that you want, and then when interest rates do drop, you are in a great position to refinance and get a much lower payment. If you wait and you try to time the market, you may get priced out once again, which, if that happens, I don't think it's coming back down again. Once it starts going up again, we're going to be in that trajectory for many, many, many years. So pay attention. Don't get stuck again. If you're in a position to buy, if you're sick and tired of the north, prices are going to increase. Maybe not real fast, but if you're concerned about getting underwater in a house, just understand any purchase you do should be for a 5 to 7 year period. So in the next 5 years, prices in Cape Coral are going to be substantially higher than where they are now, and you will be able to sell. But again, if you're in a position to buy, now's a great time. You have less competition, a lot of options still to choose from. It's a buyer's market, just barely, but we are still in a buyer's market. This is our dead season from August 15th to October 15th. We don't have a lot of people here. Once the weather starts to turn, I shouldn't say we don't have a lot of people. We don't have a lot of buyers here from the north because they're still enjoying their fall. They're enjoying the leaves. Everything's beautiful up there. But as soon as that cold weather rolls in, when the leaves start to fall, the snow starts to flurry, and those gray skies move in, people get anxiety and they start to look, and that's when the buyers are going to start heading down this way. So take advantage now, beat out the competition, and get what you want to get right now. Sellers are willing to negotiate. How much longer? We don't know. We do know that they're willing to negotiate now, especially if they're motivated, they need to sell. Now's a great time. I've helped a lot of clients find that great houses for great price points over the last 12 months. Is now the time to sell? Why do you want to sell? You really have to answer this question for yourself. Why do you want to sell? Do you need to sell? Are you motivated? So there's many different things that go into selling a home right now. And if you don't need to sell, it might be in your best interest to hold on to it for another year or two until prices really turn and go up the other direction so you can maximize your profits. If you absolutely do need to sell, you need to understand the current state of the market. Buyers still have the upper hand. They have the leverage. So you probably are not going to get what you're expecting to get out of the house. Now, I do a very intense analysis of a property, and I can give you almost the exact number of what it'll sell for, and then you would have to make that decision on if you want to list it or not. Inventory and rates are trending down. What that means for you as the seller, if inventory goes down, that's less supply, meaning prices go up. If rates go down, that's more demand coming into the market, meaning prices will go up. So good things are happening right now if you are a seller, if you are concerned about that. However, the prices have not started to tick back up quite yet, but they may do that in the near future. By next spring, we're going to know a lot about what's happening. Strategic selling, you have to be really smart about selling right now. You have to have the right agent working for you to sell your property. You have to get the most exposure that you can possibly get. You have to have social media advertising, AI complementing your listing to give it the best exposure. And then, of course, somebody that understands the market and can tell you exactly what it's going to take to get that home sold. If you do have any questions about the value of your home, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to chat with you and go over exactly what it would look like to sell your home, the time frame, and the price point that you can expect to get for that. If it makes sense, great. If not, then maybe you just sit on it for another year or two unless you absolutely need to sell it. Okay, that concludes this market update for October 2025. I'm glad you could join me. It was really nice chatting with you. Hopefully you got some great information out of this. Go ahead and click that link down below to schedule your strategy call with me, whether you're thinking about buying, selling, or investing here in Cape Coral, relocating to the area. I've got a lot of great information. And with that strategy call, I'm going to give you some more inside information on Cape Coral, what it's all about, the areas that might appeal to you the most. And I work with a lot of folks from out of town. I've got the Out of Town Buyers program where we do the Zoom call. We chat about your goals, your dreams, your budget, what it would look like to put together so you can move on down here. And then I help take care of everything from going and touring homes for you to getting it under contract, negotiations, inspections. We're going to do it all. You just have to show up and sign the documents. Really easy. Go ahead and hit that link down below. Schedule your strategy call with me to learn more. Looking forward to seeing you here in Cape Coral. Hopefully you found this information. Go and hit that subscribe button. Love to chat with you further, making realty dreams a reality here in the beautiful city of Cape Coral.